Housing. Let's speak to the director of the Centre for Policy Studies, Robert Colville, who has an excellent piece in The Times over the weekend on this very issue. Now, Robert, just to give us a scale of this problem, I believe you had a very, very stark fact in terms of the number of houses that were built in the 30 years leading to 1990 compared to the 30 years after 1990.
Yes, in the 30 years before 1990, we built 7.5 million homes as a country. In the 30 years after it, we built 3.3 million homes. Now, you can say that there is an issue there around, the fact that we were demolishing homes at the same time to build tower blocks and stuff. But if you look at the rate at which we've been adding to housing stock, it's basically halved since the 1950s. And this at a time when, as everyone knows, our population has increased very, very substantially. It's just pretty clear we have not built enough homes to the tune of, several million.
To those who say that the issue here isn't that we haven't built homes, it's that we have too many people. It's that population growth has been too fast. Would it be an easier thing for the government to try and control population growth?
Well, I'm sympathetic to the argument that immigration plays a role in housing demand, because obviously it does. But if we cut off immigration to zero at this point, we would still need to build an awful lot more homes. This is driven by immigration. It's also driven by the fact we have an aging population. People are marrying later. People are tending to live more at home. But if you look at the statistics, in just the last few years, there have been 1 million more people, young people, who are living with their parents for lack of homes. That's nothing to do with immigration. Sorry.
I'll let you get a glass of water. Perhaps I'll ask a long question in the meantime. Why is it very important that housing is built? Why does this affect other issues like productivity and economic growth?
Sure. So housing is one of those issues which its impact spreads across the economy. Most obviously, people want places to live, and they need places to live, and they deserve places to live. The more expensive it gets to do that, the tougher it is. That has impacts on family formation. It means people form families later. They have children later. Sometimes they don't have children at all because they can't. They don't have any room for them. As you say, it affects productivity because a really obvious point about is about how an economy grows is that you want the most talented people to be living close to the highest earning jobs and the highest performing companies. Now, if no one can actually afford to, if you take a place like Cambridge, it's got lots and lots of biotech, lots and lots of companies there. If we're not building any lab space for those companies, if we're not building any homes for the workers, if no one can actually afford to move to that place and live there and work there, then that's bad for the economy.
No, that was really, really stark when you put it in those terms. And it does show, especially when I look at these international comparisons, how many homes France is building compared to the United Kingdom. It's incredible that the UK's GDP is, I suppose, even slightly positive over the last few decades. We really are holding ourselves back.
Yeah, housing is a crucial contributor to GDP. And by the way, people will say France is bigger than us, but the Netherlands is not bigger than us. And the Netherlands has built an awful lot of houses too. We now have, among the smallest number of dwellings per person of anywhere in Europe. And we have the fourth lowest home ownership rates. All of this stuff is not simple. But it's not about GDP. I think the mistake that people like me sometimes make is to make it sound as though it's about GDP. Obviously, if house building is low, then the economy does suffer. But fundamentally, it's about people being able to afford places to live, being able to afford homes of their own, and I think that, and partly that's about interest rates, but also it's about the number of houses we build.